The spring market is here, and along with it has come increasing home prices. So far this year, in the first 4 months, we have seen home prices increase every single month. Now, this is mainly due to the high levels of demand that we continue to experience in the GTA real estate market, as well as, you guessed it, the low levels of inventory. Now, there are obviously more factors like the inflation levels or interest rates in Canada or the Canadian economy as a whole, but these things mainly drive the levels of supply and demand that we see in the market. And supply and demand are ultimately what drive prices in the Canadian real estate market. So in this video, we are going to look at the Burlington real estate stats for April. And before we jump in, if you like this kind of content or you get any value out of this, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it helps us get this video in front of more awesome people like you. Now we're going to jump in. We're going to look at year over year first, then month over month stats, and then pricing, what everybody wants to see. So first, looking at this April compared to last, we can see sales are up about 4%. So a little bit increase in the demand or the sales happening in the market. But on the flip side, what we've talked about, these low levels of inventory, we have 36% new listings compared to this time last year. And we also have 17% less active listings or less inventory for buyers to choose from. And that's ultimately what's driving prices up. It may not look like it here because we have a 9% decrease from last April to this April, but these numbers are getting closer together every single month. When we did this back in February, this number was about negative 18%. So in just 2 months, this delta has been cut in half. And I think in a couple months, we're going to see this at even zero. And looking at months of inventory, we're in a stronger seller's market now than we were last April with just 1 month of inventory. Now, next, looking at month over month, we're going to continue to see the things we talked about in the intro. So high levels of sales and demand in the market and lower levels of inventory that are driving prices upward. So sales were up 17% from March to April. New listings up just 2%. So only 5 extra new listings, which I'd call pretty stable. And what's happening is our active listings or our active, inventory is starting to deplete. So that active listing number was down 5% because we're experiencing more sales in the market, but the new listings are not keeping up with the levels of sales that we are experiencing. And as such, we are seeing increasing prices. So from March to April of this year, the average price of any home type in Burlington has gone up 4%, which is a big jump when we're talking about 1 month to the next. And it's because we are in a stronger seller's market. So again, we've gone from 1.2 months of inventory in March to 1 month in April. And I just want to stress how severe of a seller's market this is. You can see a seller's market in 0 to 3 months. In the peak of COVID, when we were having 25 offers on properties, we had about 0.6 months of inventory. So we are getting dangerously close to that. And this week, I actually saw 2 houses. One had 20 offers. One had 24 offers. So we were very much so back in that type of seller's market. Now, what we're looking at here is pricing by property type in Burlington. So the blue is detached, red is composite, so it's a mix of all property types. The orange is townhomes, and the purple down here is condos. And I think obviously everybody always wants to see the pricing, but I think it's important for people to see so that you can see just how severe this upswing is starting to come back up when we talk to pricing in the Burlington market. And now what these numbers are here is this is how much change there is from December of the end of last year to April of this year. So just in a 4-month span, we've seen detached homes increase 14%, which is a huge jump. I mean, it's almost as steep as we saw when prices were coming down after interest rates were announced that they were going to start to increase. The composite, so a mix of everything, is up 12% for the first 4 months of 2023. And townhomes, actually the largest growth, up 16% in the first 4 months of this year. So what this tells me is if you're somebody that's maybe sitting on the sidelines or waiting to get into the market for prices to fall for some reason, I would say you might hurt yourself a little more by waiting than getting into the market now. Because if this continues for the next 3, 4, 6 months, homes are going to be a lot more expensive then than they are today. And finally, the condos were actually down 2% from December to January. But what's interesting is Condos were a bit delayed when we talk about the peak of pricing. They were also delayed on the bottom of the pricing. This is the first month, it's hard to tell on this line, but from March to April that we've actually seen condo pricing increase month over month. And then finally, just a bit of a breakdown, a little closer look at these numbers. So detached homes were up 4% from March to April of this year, townhomes up 5%. And like I mentioned, for the first time that we've seen in the last year or so, condos actually up 3% month over month. And here's the year over year numbers just for reference. Detached are down 9%, townhomes down 1% from last year, and condos down 17%. Now, what's interesting is, like I mentioned earlier, these numbers are getting closer and closer together as prices come back up. And I think in the next couple of months, we're going to see detached and especially townhomes be at zero or even be a positive number when compared to last year. So I think there's a couple key takeaways here. I think one, we're in a strong seller's market. We are seeing homes sell quickly. Homes are selling in competition, and a lot of them are selling for over asking price as there's a competitive nature in the market right now. And two, we don't see any signs of slowing down right now. I just released a video last week if you want to check it out, and it's about the spring market outlook and key indicators like inflation and interest rate forecasts for the next year and a half, the Canadian economy and labor markets and Canadian home savings, and all signs are pointing to one thing, and that's that prices are going to continue to increase in the Canadian real estate market, especially in the GTA. Now, that being said, this all could just be a normal spring market. In the past, when we've had normal years, kind of pre-pandemic, we've seen prices and sales pick up into the spring, slow down a little in the summer, pick back up one more time in September, October, and then slow down again for the holiday season. So this year does feel a little different just because of the nature of and the severity of the seller's market that we're in and the lack of inventory and levels of demand. But regardless, we will be here to report on it every single month. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.